I'm excited today to be speaking with Ben Ducoff and Amnon Carmi, the co-writers and director and star of YANIV. Guys, thank you so much for chatting with me. I really appreciate it.
Thank
Of
you.
course, we're happy to be with you.
Pleasure.
Honestly, the film is so much fun. It is an absolute blast. It's like breezy, and it's also got this seriousness to it as well, which I really liked. It's a lot of fun, real bounce to it. Where did it come from?
Well, this is a game that Alan and I have played for many years, and we've gotten all of our friends and family to become obsessed with it as well. During the pandemic, there was nothing to do, and we were doing nothing but playing this game. And I'm a teacher, and Alan, works with my students as well, and it just kind of came about. We kind of threw it up, or gave birth to it, so to speak.
Yeah. And also for context, Ben and I have been friends for over 20 years now. So we always just kind of are shooting ideas at each other, making films at, various scales. Obviously, this is our first feature, so this was a new venture for us. But yeah, just kind of a creative energy that we've always had, and we just let it bloom in that sense. Yeah.
Yeah, you can really sense that you were having fun working on it, and there's a real sort of joy in the film that I really attached to. But I have to know, is there an underground YANIV club that you know about, or is it like,
So,
where are you in? No.
we can neither confirm or deny that. But I would say, if you wanted to take a walk, through, Williamsburg or Borough Park in Brooklyn and ask around, you might have some luck.
If you look hard enough,
You
sure.
can find anything if you look
You
hard
can,
enough.
yeah, exactly.
You can make your own reality.
you can, you start your own. You start your own.
That's always an option as well.
Well, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Now we can confirm that they exist because
Yeah,
we're bringing
right.
them all over.
Yeah.
Well, I know, like you said, I know Ben, like you said that you're teachers, you guys are teachers, but I've heard as well that your students were in the film as well. Is that your students in the class? And what was that
That
like working with them?
It was a blast. We loved it. It was for everyone on set, that was the highlight, having the students on there. So all the students that you saw in the film, those are our students. They were even more working behind the scenes. This was part of a filmmaking program that, oh, I'm sorry, let me just put my thing on Do Not Disturb. I'm really sorry about that. So we, to get this production off the ground, we partnered with the New York City Department of Education to create like a summer filmmaking program for our kids, where they basically were trained leading up to production on how to, use the camera, how to be a PA, how to,
How to work spreadsheets. I mean,
yeah,
they're fully equipped to work on a film set, to the point where sometimes they were almost more professional than our hired crew. Don't tell them that.
yeah,
But they were super did a super good job. It was really fun to see, and very fulfilling for us to see, the hard work that they do pay off as well. So
yeah. And there were some, we had some close calls, because of New York labor laws. Our students had to be offset by 6 p.m. But of course, we had a lot of night shoots, going to 2, 3, 4 in the morning, and of course, they wanted to be a part of that. So there are so many times where like, you guys have to leave. I'm sorry, but you have to leave. And then, we'd show up to shoot a roof scene or something at 2 a.m. and they would just be there and be like, oh my God, we're gonna get shut down. We're getting so much trouble. So, that was every day. It was so much fun.
yeah, but they loved it, and we loved it too.
Yeah, again, like I know what it's like to work with people that you're working with already, and like, students and that, and there's a real joy that it brings them. And I love that, you talk about it being a training for them, because these sorts of experiences are going to last with them. I think that's phenomenal. I think that's so great.
Not only that, but because this was a union set, the students that have speaking roles, they're now union eligible. They can join
Oh,
set
wow.
if they want. Yeah, and I hope they do.
We had some other instances, a few of the students working on set had just graduated. We filmed in July, they had graduated in June. Some of them, you know, they did so well that, our AD, who, after our shoot, was immediately getting started to go work on another movie, and was like, hey, you're coming with me. I need a PA, I need a driver, you're coming. So a lot of students, we can say they got their foot in the door working on our movie, and they're still working on sets.
Yeah.
One of the things I thought was really interesting about this film too is that even amidst its fun, um, there's some serious stuff you're dealing with here along the way. Like there really are some serious issues, especially the fact, talk about the perils of addiction. And I was wondering why that was an important aspect of the story to you, why you wanted to bring that in.
Yeah, well, I think there are a number of reasons for that. First of all, I think we both believe that good storytelling, I mean, you have to have conflict somewhere.
Sure.
And as much as we are, jokesters and comedians and just want to make people laugh, the laughter is more sweet when you balance it out with something that's a little, bitter. And perhaps it's a very kind of a Jewish mentality where you can talk about dark and serious things, but intersperse it with humor so that no matter what, within 5 minutes of a shock or a gasp or a really sad moment, you're crying yourself, you're laughing yourself to tears. So we really pride ourselves in finding that balance. And I also think we have to give a credit to the actor who played Jonah, who was the one battling the addiction. When we wrote the role, we didn't really have anyone in mind, especially not Eli Bosky, who played Jonah. When we saw his audition tape, it we immediately agreed. It transformed our perception of the role, and we said, "Okay, this has new life, and we are going to run with it." And he gave it such a beautiful, nuanced tonality that really, it adds to the film. So it's part planned and part just spontaneous, just like film.
Yeah.
That's just how it goes.
Also, addiction is something that, as creatives, we've seen, some of our colleagues and friends who are some of the most talented people we've ever met in our lives have really struggled with addiction, and it's really, it's it's sidelined a lot of genius people that we know. Also, as a teacher, teaching is a hard job, especially in public schools, and there are so many teachers that are struggling with addiction, self-medicating, and they're not getting the help that they need. And we just wanted to bring that to light. It's too often that you think your teachers are these stalwart people that are just absolute role models and can do no wrong, but a lot of them are struggling. And we just want to put that on the forefront.
And it's not black and white either.
Yeah.
So it's important to show the different, elements to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And certainly Eli, the way he brings this out in the character, you can tell like he understands his past. He doesn't want to go back, but he does to help out your character, of course. But there's still that element there. So it's there, he's doing what he needs to do to help, but there's also this thing that holds him back. I like that you say Ben, the idea of people, I think it was you that said this, Ben, that teachers, they think their teachers are stalwart people, but people have struggles that they carry with them along the way. I think that's a really important aspect of this. It adds a certain sense of seriousness in the midst of the silliness, and I think that really sort of brings the film to light, or brings it to life, I should say.
Yeah. Thank you. We agree. That's what we were aiming for.
I wanted to ask you both the idea of doing, because I mean certainly there's an element of disguise and trying to portray yourself in a different light and to get in. The idea of doing the wrong thing for the right reasons, and what that line is for you, what you would say to these characters.
Well, I think that line is so great. That's exactly why I wanted to make a movie about it.
Yeah.
I think personally, for me, and probably for Amnon as well, like, we've been faced with that dilemma so many times, even with making the film. We knew that making this film, and this film is so meta for so many reasons, but this is one of them, is that we knew that making this film was a good thing. We were going to tell a good story. We were going to give a lot of artists, in front of the camera and behind the camera too, a lot of young artists our age a chance to really show their stuff and take their career to the next level. We knew that that was going to happen. We wanted to give our students an opportunity to learn these skills and get in front of the camera. And there were so many things that got in our way. And honestly, as producers, we, probably did a lot of morally great things to get this started. And,
Never risking lives or anything.
never, no,
But just decisions where you're like, well, if we want to make this thing happen, this has to happen, and it's
Yeah.
just, you're, I think there's something to be said for situations that there are no right answers and there are no wrong answers, that are so fun to develop in a creative world. and also gives it a sense of reality, because that is reality, that is life, right? For
Yeah.
getting philosophical here, sometimes you're faced with these dilemmas, and whatever you choose to do, you can be held accountable, but it's not because you wanted to do it for the wrong reasons. And despite the fact that this concept of this film is such pure fantasy and down the rabbit hole goofiness, I think that really helps root it in reality so people can suspend their disbelief and follow a story that normally you wouldn't. I don't think you would really follow that story walking down the street. So yeah.
And another big theme of this movie is just this concept of asking for help. I think especially when we have these morally gray areas, the worst thing that somebody can do, and it's exactly what my character did, is not ask anyone for help and just try to go their own way and try to make it happen. The best thing you can do is involve your people around you, get your community involved, communicate, ask nicely, and see what you can get done. We learned that lesson as we made the movie, and then of course the character learns it in the movie. It's really hard to differentiate between reality and fiction, and
For us.
yeah, always.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that. I appreciate it. Honestly, the film is absolute joy. What as we start to wrap up here, what do you hope people take away from YANIV?
Well, more Yanni films. We've got a whole world that we're building out. um, the world of the film, the franchise, or whatever it may be, and on the personal notes, right? So on the personal notes, I think that Ben and I have discovered just how much filmmaking is in our DNA. As we mentioned, we've been friends for over 20 years. We have never tackled anything like this, and I think there are a lot of people who would say you shouldn't tackle things like this with close friends. But we had a rare discovery that it actually works for us, and I at least am eternally grateful that we have this opportunity to grow our creative partnership in this way, beyond growing up together, beyond home, family, that level of things, and bring it into a world that we can share with so many people now. I mean, there's nothing like looking out into a packed audience and hearing deafening laughter and the stillness of a tense moment. And the fact that we can share that now is really special. And yeah, in the world of the film, we know that we have ideas people like. We know that there's more to be shared with it. We have now special branded cards that the face cards are characters from the film. We have so much interesting materials that help bring the world of the film out to people, so that even after they leave the film, they can carry a little bit with them. So it's
I I agree with everything he said. The only thing I would add is I hope also people can take away from this film just the what what a group of educators and students were able to accomplish. And I hope that people can see, especially in this day and age when arts budgets are getting slashed left and right. Another thing is that, in our movie, the library is closed at my own school. Our librarian just got excessed, and we won't have a library starting next year. Like I hope people can really start to think about how important it is that we invest in arts education and give students a chance to, really become stakeholders in their own work and have something tangible at the end of a lesson or a project that they can, claim to be owners of and be a part of and possibly even sell.
And to piggyback off of that, also the landscape for filmmaking it's always changing, but since the pandemic, since we're trying to figure out how to get people to theaters and with streaming and everything, it may seem like a mess, but there is definitely a path there combining education with filmmaking. And
Yeah.
it can start at the middle school level. I mean, it's crazy the amount of responsibility that students can carry, including $10,000 cameras and crazy lighting fixtures and real hard skills.
Yeah.
So there we see that potential, and we plan to follow that as far as we can.
Well, you're preaching to the choir on this one. You guys would have no idea this, but I just finished up doing a program with 10 to 14-year-olds, coaching them in different aspects of the arts, filmmaking, music making, all this stuff for about 6 months. And it is incredible to see them grow and change through it. I think you're absolutely right when you talk about the power of art, especially in developing kids, and not just for the film industry, but in general. So I hear what you're saying. Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. Honestly, the film is a blast. I appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
Thank
Of
you.
course, thank you. We're
Pleasure
honored
to talk.
honored to talk to you. Yeah.
Definitely.
It really is a privilege. Have a great day.
Thank you.
You as
too.
well.
You
Thank you.
too.
Thank you.